time for Reflections with Pastor Drayton.
Hi, and welcome once again to Reflections. This is a 15-minute broadcast that's designed to bless you, encourage you, and strengthen you in your walk with the Lord. And indeed, the Lord has laid something on my heart to share with you. I know it will not be done in 1 week, but I want to begin this week. I actually want to talk to you from 1 Samuel chapter 30. But in order to give background and connection as to what the Lord has laid on my heart again, I want to start at 1 Samuel chapter 27 today and share this word of encouragement again with you. I want to just go right into it. I don't have a lot of time in this broadcast, but in 1 Samuel 27, the very first verse, it says, "And David said in his heart, 'Now I shall perish someday by the hand of Saul. There's nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape to the land of the Philistines, and Saul will despair of me to seek me any more in any part of Israel, so I shall escape out of his hand.'" Well, here's a situation that I want to admit to you this morning, that while very often I do share with you out of my experience, out of my past experience, today I want to share with you out of my present experience. And this particular teaching this morning will not be exactly what I want to say to you, but as I said, it leads up to what I want to talk to you about hopefully next week, Wednesday. But David is in a situation where Saul has been trying to kill him. He's not in a good place. He's not in a good situation. And it brings us into this 1 Samuel chapter 27, where David said in his heart, "Now I shall perish someday by the hand of Saul." So what happened was that David became discouraged. And I don't want to go down the road of what I am dealing with right now, not today, but sufficient to say that's where we are leading in this week and next week's broadcast of Reflections. So David became discouraged in his heart. And interestingly, I know, because of what I believe the Lord has said to me, that there are many of you who will view this broadcast who are discouraged. Now, I think last week I shared a little encouragement for you, but I felt specifically to go in the direction of discouragement, specifically looking at and dealing with discouragement, not just to encourage you, but dealing with discouragement. And here's what I want to say to you, that David said, as the scripture tells us, in his heart, he was discouraged by an imagined future. He was saying, someday, Saul is going to end up killing me. So he's just imagined in his head that, or heart, whichever, both, that Saul was going to kill him, that his life, he knew his life was in danger, but his expected outcome, his imagined outcome, is that Saul would kill him. Now, he became discouraged in this, and here's what I am looking at today. You may be discouraged for one reason or another. David was discouraged because he felt that his life was in danger and that Saul was going to kill him. You may be discouraged today because you run out of money, because things are really difficult for you. You're not in a place where you want to be or should be with the Lord. There are many, many reasons why you could become, or we could become, discouraged. Sometimes we literally get tired waiting on the Lord. That may sound a little strange, but we get tired waiting. I say, God, you're really taking long to come through in this situation. I have here a list of things that we might say in our prayers, in our discourse with the Lord. Lord, why does it have to be so? Why can't the situation be different? Lord, why is it taking so long? Lord, why don't you deliver me from this thing, or deliver me from this person, or deliver me from this habit? You may have a problem with alcohol consumption or with drugs. You may be using drugs. You may be a person of prominence in the society or prominence in the church, but you have a secret issue with alcohol. You drink too much alcohol, or you're actually taking drugs, but it is very private and very hidden because you don't want anyone to know about it. And speaking of private and hidden, you may have an addiction to pornography. It may not be an addiction yet, but you are dabbling with pornography. Every time you do it, you feel guilty. You know you shouldn't be doing it, and you're praying and asking the Lord to help you to get over this situation, to get rid of this problem. And the Lord seems to be taking his cool time to deliver you. And all the while you're struggling with this sin, this habit, this thing in your life. It may not be pornography, it may be something else. It may be telling lies, whatever it is. But the reality is that you are struggling with something. You're asking the Lord to deliver you, and the Lord doesn't seem to be coming through, and you become discouraged. David feared for his life. This is a prayer that I have prayed before, and it's not a solution. This is actually a part of the problem. And some of you may have prayed this same prayer. Something like, but Lord, I am asking for this thing for your glory. I'm asking you to do this thing because I want to live right. I want to glorify you in my life. So why in heaven's name are you taking so long to bring deliverance? Why are you taking so long to change the situation when I seek this change to glorify you? And it doesn't seem to make sense. But I've prayed that prayer on several occasions, and I know some of you have prayed that prayer as well. So you're not asking for selfish reasons or selfish motives. You're asking because you want to bring glory to God, and God doesn't seem to be hearing our prayers, and we can become quite discouraged. It can also be a situation which is a kind of an opposite of what I've just said, where you may be saying, Lord, why haven't you done something for me? In the sense of, Lord, why haven't you given me a companion? Lord, I'm lonely. Lord, I am in a desperate situation. I need somebody. Why haven't you given me somebody to love, somebody to live with, somebody to enjoy their company? You may be praying, Lord, you know what? Your word says it's better to marry than to burn. I am burning and I want to get married. Listen, let me tell you straight up. I want to have sex legitimately. And I don't have anybody that I'm married to that I can do that with. Lord, I need you to provide somebody for me. I don't know if I'm keeping it real enough for you today, but listen, some of you're having these struggles. They're very private things. You may speak to one or two people about it, but these are things you struggle with inside of you, and you struggle with on your knees before the Lord and say, Lord, I don't understand. I want to live right. I want to do the right thing, but I'm being pressured to do the wrong thing, to get involved with illicit sex, to get involved with things that I know I shouldn't be involved with, and I don't want to get involved with them. But why don't you provide for me so I don't have to get involved with these things? I need somebody to marry. I don't like this thing about trusting you week after week or month after month to provide for my needs. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's not a nice place to be. Every week, every month, it's the same thing. We're short on money. There are things that we need to do. There are bills coming up. There are issues that need to be dealt with from a financial perspective. And it seems that I don't know if many people use this term in Barbados, but certainly in the U.S., I live on a shoestring where it is just $1 to $1, one day to one day. I remember speaking with someone very, very recently, and they said, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'll come to that probably next week as I share and continue with this message. So, Lord, I need a job, or I need a better job. I'm getting money, but it is not enough to do what needs to be done. I need a better job, a raise, or something like that. I've been affected by COVID-19. It has affected my cash flow, my economic situation. Lord, I need you to break through and do something for me. Some of you may even have prayed very privately, Lord, you know what? You know how you can solve this problem? Give me a man who has money. I know I'm exposing some of your secrets today, but listen, don't worry about it. I won't tell anybody that it is you that is dealing with that. But some people actually pray prayers that I say, God, if you don't want to give me money, give me a man with money. Yeah, let's keep it real today. So here we are, and we don't want to say this, but we think it. Lord, I'm beginning to wonder if your word is true, if you really mean what you say. Some may say, Lord, I'm beginning to wonder if you ever really going to come through for me, if you ever really going to deliver me. And you know what? We're heading into or in discouragement. And that's not where God wants you to be. That's not where you want to be. Certainly that's not where I want you to be today. So that's why I believe the Lord has laid this on my heart, because there's some of you are kind of on the edge and you're about to do something maybe that you shouldn't do. We've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again in the future, because this is an ongoing part of life. We get discouraged. Sometimes it is demonically oriented. Sometimes it is just circumstantial because of the things we're facing. Or, like David, while it was a circumstantial thing, David said in his own mind, he said in his own heart, maybe one day Saul is going to kill me, so I need to do something. Interestingly, he said, there's nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape to the land of the Philistines. Now, this is interesting because what happened is that David created a problem in his mind and then created a solution for the problem that was in his mind. So it was an imagined problem, and he presented himself with a solution to an imagined problem. This is what we do. This is no different than what we do at all. So maybe he was thinking about the old ancient proverb that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't know if that was on his mind, but the reality is he was saying the best thing for me to do is to escape from Saul by running to the enemy of Saul, which is the Philistines. But the enemy of Saul was also David's enemy. But Saul had become David's enemy. So this triangle here was such that David, out of his despair, said, you know what, let me run to Saul's enemy and make them my friend. So the problem was he came up with an imagined a solution to his problem, and then he did all this without consulting his God. Here is where the problem comes in. Hey, our imagination will run wild, especially when we are afraid or we are discouraged or in despair for our lives or our future or our present. But then we run to a place in our minds where we find a solution for our problem in our minds. Not that the problem is our mind, but we are thinking about it. And we say, you know what? This is the best thing for me to do. But it is done outside of conjunction with the Lord. And this is where the problem comes in. Further on in the verse it says, so Saul will despair of me to seek me anymore in any part of Israel, so I shall escape out of his hand. Essentially what David was saying here is, look, if I run to the land of the Philistines, then Saul will no longer look for me in the land of Israel, because I won't be in the land of Israel, and my problem will be solved. I've got 1 minute left. Here is how I want to end this. David's desperation, his discouragement, caused him to become deceived in his own mind. All right? He imagined something that was not reality, but could become reality. We give him that. But he imagined that it was not reality, and then that caused him to be deceived, tricked in his own mind that there was a good suggestion to get rid of the problem by running to the enemies of God's people, the enemies of Saul, the enemies of his own people. And so I think if anyone had actually suggested to David that he go live with the Philistines, he would have said, you're crazy. But discouragement and despair will cause you to do things that under normal circumstances you would not do. And if you're watching this broadcast and you're discouraged, you've become despondent, and you are contemplating doing something that you know is outside of the will of God, you don't know that it is the will of God, you've not consulted with God on the matter, I want to challenge you today not to make that decision unless you talk with the Lord. Get a confirmation from the Lord that this is what you should do. Otherwise, don't do it. Hang on and keep trusting God, and He will come through for you. I'm going to pick up from here next week and go on with this broadcast, but sufficient for this week. I want you to understand, do not become discouraged to the point that you make decisions that are outside of the will, plan, and purpose of God for your life. So be encouraged with that, and we're going to go into it next week again. God bless you. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next week, Wednesday, as we continue in 1 Samuel chapter 27. God bless you.